Okay, who here hasn't been to space? Why? You better not throw up on my ship.
Approaching jump in 3, 2, 1.
This is the one that comes from, like I said, the Emmett Kennedy guy. He is verified on Twitter. He has a lot of connections. He has a radio show. He has a podcast. Seems like he's interviewed several different people, talked with him, etc., etc., etc. Now, he tweeted, "I'm reliably informed that Marvel Studios have signed epic talent for Phase 5. He goes on to list the names of John Boyega, Henry Cavill, Jodie Comer, who we already talked about as Sue Storm, Daisy Edgar Jones, John Krasinski, Giancarlo Esposito, and Denzel Washington. And Denzel Washington. Now, these names, these are not the first time we've heard these names. These names have all been rumored by other credible insiders.
I was gonna say, if you follow
My
right
time to shine. Hello, exactly. So many other credible insiders have talked about so many of these names. If this is true, and some of these names are going to be announced, so let's go through the list here of who they say here. So we've got let's start with Daisy Edgar Jones, and this one here. This is Daisy Edgar Jones right here. Daisy Edgar Jones. I don't know too much about her career or acting career or anything like that, but that's what Marvel typically does. Marvel will typically pull actors and actresses that we don't know shit about. Like before Loki, how many of you can honestly raise your hand and say, "Oh man, I love Tom Hiddleston," or "Man, Tom Hiddleston was a riot," and you can't. So I am a massive Tom Hiddleston fan, as after the MCU has brought him in as Loki. So whoever she is, I'm not sure who she is like that, but her career is about to possibly really take off with the MCU, and the rumor being around her playing someone in the X-Men. That is what the rumor is about. Some people are thinking that she's going to be playing. They don't introduce a Kitty Pryde that early.
They're not doing that.
I doubt that. I doubt they introduce Kitty that early. Maybe, I don't know.
What I was more referring to.
Well, I was thinking more of maybe Rogue.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe she could be announced as Rogue. I mean,
I see here, just to look this up, she was in like War of the Worlds.
Oh, was she?
Yeah, she's a British actress.
Okay.
Where the Crawdads Sing.
Where the what?
Normal People. I mean, she has some. She's a newer actor. I would say she has a.
We're about to get.
She's only
some shit I
24.
want to be here for. I got a tinkle. So I'm gonna take my potty break.
Do you think? Because she's 24.
Okay.
She's fairly new into acting. She does have some credible things under her belt, right? She won a Golden Globe for a TV spot. So, I mean, I'm with it. I think that, I like when Marvel does this, when Marvel will find actors with potential and bring them in, and then they kill in the role they're in, because Marvel puts the support behind their actors that they need to succeed. I'm for it.
Right. Yeah, no, I like her. I like her look as Rogue. Mm-hmm. If the X-Men rumor is true, I like her look as Rogue. I'm not sure exactly. Like I said, who else I could see her possibly playing in the X-Men outside of? I mean,
I don't think she'd be a Jean Grey.
No,
Jean Grey is the only other, I think.
I was just about to say Jean, but then I don't know. I don't know. But someone in the X-Men. So if she does come out on stage and is announced, it will be someone in the X-Men. And Marvel has already, like I said, we just showed that tweet where they talked about the X-Men coming in 6 days. And I like I said, Marvel's going to drop Jaws, I believe. I really do. I think SD, I think D23 is going to be the thing where Kevin Feige again says mic drop.
Right.
This is what we've got going. And then we'll move on to the next name here that he mentioned. And the next name that he mentioned here is Henry Cavill. And we talked about Henry Cavill earlier when we talked about the rumors of him being Reed Richards. And I am just so completely against that. I do not want Henry Cavill to be Reed Richards at all. If you bring Henry Cavill over to the MCU, and he's such a brilliant talent, I don't care really. Honestly, you can make him anyone that you want in the MCU.
You really want him to be Hyperion.
No, I do. That's where I want. I want him to be Hyperion. I really want him to be Hyperion.
And this is a bias for me, I'll be honest with you. because I am a huge Henry Cavill fan.
Give him his
right?
second shot at Superman.
I like what he does. I like how, the man's a real nerd. He's really a part of this community. He cares about giving authenticity to the role. Just go look at what he did for The Witcher, and that alone will tell you the kind of care he'll put into any role he's given. And DC just kind of fucked him like they fucked everybody, right? That's like he's said in interviews before, and you can tell he's got a bit of an attitude to it, where he's like, the cape's still in the closet, you know what I mean? Like, I'm still ready to be Superman and do this right. And they're just kind of fucking him over. In my opinion, come play Hyperion, and Marvel treats you good is what they do.
No, that's what I'm saying. Give him a second chance at being Superman,
Right.
Hyperion, have him lead the Squadron Supreme, which is basically the damn Justice League. Bada boom, bada bing. Henry Cavill's happy. We're happy. He's in the MCU.
Right.
He looks great as Hyperion. I mean, like I said,
All is well.
all's well. That would be great, and I hope that it is true. I mean, a lot of insiders and trades have been saying that he has been in talks with Marvel. We don't know as for what, but if D23 holds to what D23 typically is, then yes, he gets brought out. So it'd be cool to see him. Next one on there is Jodie Comer, like we said. Sue. She'll be Sue. This is not the only person that has said that. This is like the 6th, 7th person I've seen collaborate saying that, yeah, Jodie Comer is more than likely going to be our Sue Storm.
And Sue is a character I definitely want to know. I want to see how they portray her in the MCU, because Sue is a very, very rich character, and they did quite a bit with her because she's not just some silent wife of the world's smartest man.
No, she's definitely not silent.
And so I kind of want to see how well they portray her character, what they kind of lead in with and do. And Loki, I'll be honest with you, the biggest thing I'm excited to deal with is her having to deal with what's his name? Villain in the first mutant. Villain in Wakanda Forever. Namor. I want to see her interactions with Namor so bad.
Yeah. I think Sue being brought in, or not just Sue, the entire first family being brought in. Casting for me, as I've said, it just has to be. I need it to be right. I really do. I need it to be right. I'm not sure what they do with. I don't know what Jodie does either. Again, another actress. I'm not too sure anything about her. But it collaborates with a lot of other insiders, so that's possible for Jodie Comer. The next one on that list there is John Krasinski. Now, I think they bring John Krasinski on. I think that's true. I think he's staying in the MCU, but I don't think he's going to be 616 Reed. I think he's going to still be 838 Reed. I think that there's going to be some type of way. I mean, you have to remember, Mordo is still alive. They do have the time stone. Something could happen to where, he has reversed time, done something to where the events never happened. I don't know. But I don't think that he's dead. And I also don't think that he's going to be the 616 Reed. Now, if you would have asked me before Multiverse of Madness started, I wanted him to be really bad, our Reed Richards. After seeing him as Reed, I don't think he did a bad job at all. I thought he did, for the limited time he was on screen, I thought he did a good job. But I don't have to have him as our Reed. I don't have to, especially after seeing some of these other, Pin. I'm kind of sold on that one. Right. But I don't have to have him as Reed or anything like that.
I don't know. It's weird because anytime they've done the multiversal things, they cast it differently, right? That's kind of the growing trend.
I mean,
is anytime there is a different. Look at all the Lokis. They could have CGI'd another Tom Hiddleston, but they didn't. It was every one of them looks different. That's been the growing trend. Why would you change that? And I also feel like it. I don't know. It's just a weird introduction. If he's going to be Reed and he dies just like that,
right,
and he's back as our Reed, it doesn't fit for me.
In certain instances, they've established that in the MCU. The multiverse. Some people will look just alike. Some people will look differently. I mean, that's why you got the Spider-Mans. But that's why you got all the Doctor Strange looking the same. The Wandas are the same.
That is actually
the Stranges are the same.
Yeah, the Stranges are the same. And we even saw another Loki, but it was just a frost giant version of him. But it was Tom Hiddleston's likeness.
Mordo.
But yeah, Mordo was the same.
Man, I missed. Yeah, but
not only that, also. we have to remember we are moving toward Kang Dynasty. We are moving towards Secret Wars. We are moving. That's the Council of Reeds is going to be.
Yeah.
Reed
You
plays
don't
a.
think Reed Richards ain't a big
Yeah,
deal when it
Reed
comes to
plays
Kang?
a major role in Kang Wars. Plays a major role in Secret Wars. I think that they are going to adapt somewhere in here. Time Runs Out. Time Runs Out has to be adapted somewhere in all this. So I think that they're going to do some adaptation of Time Runs Out, and Reed's role in that is huge as well.
And let's just be quite clear about what the Fantastic Four is. You know, you've mentioned it's Marvel's first family, right? And that they're legacy characters. But like, I'm going to be completely to fully solidify why they need to be in the MCU and their importance and all of these things. Human Torch was Marvel's first superhero. He was Marvel's first hero ever. You know, you go from that to so many characters got introduced through the Fantastic Four. Black Panther was introduced through the Fantastic Four. They are a staple into what that, like, you don't have a Marvel without the Fantastic Four.
No.
You don't. And
That's why I've been so adamant about this film.
Right, and that's why even whenever I talk about my nervousness and trepidation to the film, I'm like, that they have to be in the MCU. Like, you have to get them in because everything plays off of the Fantastic Four. Mm-hmm. Everything does, and so you know that's where the importance,
especially
of
leading into Kang.
You know, I'm sure there's plenty of people that are like, "Oh, I don't give a shit about the Fantastic Four," and that's fine. You don't have to, but look at Marvel's arguably best villain, Doctor Doom. Where did he come from? The Fantastic Four. Like, it all goes back.
I think we get Victor announced too. About who's going to be playing Victor. Because if the post-credit scene does happen in Wakanda Forever and it does involve Doctor Doom, you know, we'll see him first-handedly there.
Right.
But also, not only that, Reed is one of the smartest minds, if not the smartest mind, in Marvel. Yep. And having more than one Reed, having that council of Reeds and seeing the different dichotomies of how every one of them is different. Right. They are alike in ways, but they are very different. You know, our Reed is one of the only Reeds that didn't decide to just leave his family and... because again, our heroes are supposed to be the best of them. You know, all the other Reeds decided, you know, I'm going to embark on whatever intellectual journey and leave my family. And our Reed was like, I can't do that. You know, I do want the knowledge and things like that, but I also want my family, you know. So I think that's what is super important, having that in the MCU and having... So I don't think that he is going to be our 616, but I do think that he is still involved in the MCU for sure. Right. So the next name here that we have got... is coming from same list there, and it's going to be Giancarlo, and we know Giancarlo is going to be in the MCU. I'm excited for that one. I really am. I'm excited for him to. If you go back, remember when we talked about this the first time, we watched the video of him at whatever con he was at, and he was talking about Doctor Doom, talking about Magneto, talking about Professor X. He said, I'm going to put it out there that it is Professor X. But before he even said any of that, he gave some type of speech, inspiring speech to the audience. Bro, I'm telling you right then and there, I don't give a fuck. I said this when I watched it. He was in character. He was Charles in that moment. Yeah. That was so like the things he was saying inspiring. He's like, you know, we are the. I don't know. You just got to go back and watch it, and you will see he's Charles. Yeah, he's Charles.
Well, and I've thought about that a little bit more whenever we talked about, you know, Giancarlo Esposito and everyone was talking about race swapping and things like that.
And I have something to say on that, but go ahead.
But one thing that I really thought was cool is, you know, so Magneto's character being Jewish, right, coming from the Holocaust, right, into what he becomes for mutants, right? It is interesting, but I've always thought, or I've recently thought, if you did have a person of color playing a Charles, right, coming from someone that was also persecuted against, right, that comes to a different understanding, a different outlook than to juxtapose Magneto, right? Because it's kind of their big battle where Charles understands where Magneto's coming from, but he completely disagrees with at the means at which he goes about doing what he's doing, right? So I honestly thought like that would be a really cool way to really put it out there.
No, I mean
of Giancarlo being like, you think I don't know what you go through? Like you think I don't really?
Right.
Me?
I think it would be good.
And I think that it would not only on a complex level get into that juxtaposition, but also on a very visual level where you can see it. You know what I'm saying? Like I think it would. I like it more now that I've thought about the nuance of what their characters represent.
Well, and the more I've thought about things too, I've seen a lot of people being upset with Magneto being black because it, and I've said this too about, as long as I don't mind race swapping, but when it affects the heritage, the background that's integral to the character, then I have a problem with it. But here's also something that I've thought about recently. You have to understand, we are in the Marvel 616 universe within the Marvel multiverse. We consider the Fox universe to be a different set universe than the 616 universe. We also consider the Amazing Spider-Man Sony universe to be a different universe set from the 616 universe. So with that logic, and you can take this for what it is, you can like it, you can dislike it, whatever, it is what it is. With that logic, we already have Magneto and his Jewish heritage background with Michael Fassbender. We already have that with Ian McKellen. So having a different background, a different race for Magneto in the 616 universe within the Marvel multiverse, I don't mind. I don't mind it. And I don't mind seeing Denzel as Magneto because Denzel is a power... What the fuck? Denzel Washington? No. Come on, bro. John Q?
My thing... Now, hold on. Don't attack me for this yet. As you said, as Magneto?
Yes, as Magneto.
I would need to see how they do it because you would be changing the background of Magneto.
So where were you when I just gave the spill of what I just said? I said that
I was reading our comments, I'm sorry.
We are in the Marvel 616 universe within the Marvel multiverse. So with that logic, with us looking at the Fox universe as its own separate universe, we look at Andrew Garfield's Sony universe as its own set universe. So when Tom Hardy got brought into the MCU, and then when Michael Keaton's character of the Vulture got brought into the Sony universe, those are two separate universes. Right. So with that logic, we already have our Magneto with his Jewish heritage background. In Michael Fassbender. We have it in Sir Ian McKellen. So having a different background for Magneto, having him being race swapped in a different universe, I don't care about.
Well, no, I got that. But what I mean is, when I'm saying you would be changing the entire backstory of Magneto, what I'm getting at is I would need to know what you're going to go with to make his argument, his motivations as compelling as they are. I was going to see what they do with the character. That's the whole point. Again, not against race swapping as it is. It's just like, okay, so you're taking away the Jewish heritage story that motivates him to be how he is. So what story are you going to give him to make him an equally deep character with his same motive? Because in Magneto's eyes, he's really not the bad guy.
No.
But he has such a complex plot that it's like, again, the race doesn't bother me. It's just, what are you going to do with his story to make him as compelling? You see that's what I'm wondering. I would just need to see it.
You know, I've seen some people throw out there that, which I don't know how they do it. You know, I've seen some people say about, you know, and he could be from the Jim Crow era and dealing with things like that and blah blah blah. That gets touchy. I don't know.
Yeah, and that would also, oh god, the comments on that video would be war.
It would, what the fuck is that? It would definitely be something, because I don't know. It gets touchy when you do stuff like that. So I don't know what they do with the background.
Yeah, I will hate, because the comments are definitely going in this direction with this as well. So I want to see what your thoughts on this is. So first of all, Joan 2 D23 is the
Saturday.
9th. Yeah, it's Saturday.
Saturday, 1 p.m. We'll be streaming here at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. So we will be streaming for not just Marvel. We'll be streaming for Star Wars' panel too. We'll be streaming for that too. But
we'll be going through it. And then let's see here. So J Wolf said Giancarlo is a highly underrated actor. He would smoke Xavier, and I think he would do an amazing job. I think it'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
You know, that is one to me that his acting is so superb. I'm just like,
he would just, man.
Yeah.
But I think that's why he said it when he said, I'm going to put it out there and say something different, because he's always played the villain.
That's what I was about to say. I just want to see him play something like, as much as I love seeing him as the villain, because he's damn good at it, and I wouldn't mind seeing him play a Marvel villain, just because he'd be a damn good Marvel villain at that. But I really want to see the range with Professor X, because I know I just know he'd get up there, and I think he'd make everyone love. I think he'd make everyone love Professor X even more. Honestly, I think he'd make people forget that Professor X was race swapped and everything, just because he's that good of an actor in my mind. Like the race wouldn't matter with him.
So I'm seeing Raymond 2000 here, and he makes a really good point here. He says, "I don't like race swapping, but for me, because we're so far into the MCU, which is probably in the mid to late 2020s, most Holocaust survivors would probably be too old or gone." And so as a justification to Magneto's age and the timeline that they're in.
That'd be the same with the Jim Crow era as well, then.
They really would. Now, again, there are other, atrocities and other...
my grandmother was alive during the Jim Crow era.
Yeah?
My grandmother's still alive.
Yeah.
So no.
Mano215 said, nah, Denzel is too big for a Marvel movie.
Denzel's big. He's definitely big. Now, I do still believe that a lot of the insiders have been collaborating together and saying that Denzel has been in talks with Marvel. But here's my thing too. People, I will say this: let's not downplay Marvel Studios.
Yeah, no.
Marvel Studios is the biggest, the most successful studio company in the world.
Right.
There are actors that are begging. Literally in interviews, there are actors that are saying, "Hey, Marvel, if you're watching, I want to be in the MCU." There are actors that look at Daniel Kaluuya, even though he decided to do Nope over Wakanda Forever, and I think that there are other background issues as to the reason why he decided. But at the same time, Nope was different. It's one of the it falls into that niche of films that Jordan Peele does. None of them have been as successful as Get Out, but you take actors like, who else was that? John Krasinski, who begged and begged and begged and begged and begged and begged, and he finally got his literal 15 minutes and got to be in it. And still wants to do more because these are big act. Now, I'm not putting John Krasinski on the same level as a Denzel Washington at all. Please understand that. Denzel, Independence Day. Independence Day. Training Day. Independence Day is Will Smith. My fault. Right. Training Day. John Q. Man on Fire. There's so many iconic roles that Denzel has been in.
But I also think, look at Denzel for the fact.
Why not add Marvel under your belt?
Right, but look at Denzel for his age, right? Now he's to the point where he can do passion projects. He can do things because he wants to do them because it's fun to do it. He's not worried about money. He's not worried about accolades.
I was gonna say that. I was thinking that same thing. Like at the position he's in.
Look at how proud he was that he. The things he did for Chadwick.
Right? That's something else I was going to touch on.
Boom. For Chadwick, right?
Exactly.
The things that mattered, and then seeing the culture, the ramifications, the cultural
Chadwick
effect
definitely
that
looked
Black
up to
Panther
him.
had.
Mm-hmm.
He could very well be like,
especially if Marvel presented a like this is how. Okay, Denzel. I don't know if Denzel knows anything about Marvel at all or anything like that. But let's say he did. Let's go and say he knows some things. Let's say going in he knew Magneto has always been a white character. Marvel sits down with him, Kevin Feige, they sit down with him and they say, this is the story of how we're changing the race and what the background's going to be. And if compelling enough, like you said, he's already he's not having to prove anything in the Marvel Studios movie. He's not coming in trying to prove that, this is Denzel Washington. People know who the fuck he is. We all know that Denzel Washington, that's asses in the seats type deal. But if you present it to him in a way to where it's like, boom, this is what we're doing, if compelled enough, I don't see why, again, he would not want to put a Marvel Studios movie under his belt. Like you said, looking at Chadwick, he saw the success of Black Panther. Chadwick Boseman stood on stage and gave so many accolades to Denzel, how much he looked up to Denzel, how Denzel was there. Yes.
The only thing with Denzel is I don't know if he'd want to commit to something long term.
Here's what I think, because I said this the last time we talked about this. Secret Wars is ending this saga. I only think that they are going to be. I think Giancarlo, I think they've signed like 10-year contracts.
Right.
I really do. And I know that might seem like, damn, 10 years is a long time. But I think they've signed 10-year contracts, and after that, I know a lot of people don't agree. I don't think that we reboot after Secret Wars. I think we have like one or two more major sagas before we reboot. But I think that they're not going to be in the MCU long term, because I think the MCU after this 10-year contract that they've probably signed, then boom, then the MCU is going to redo this shit. Because again, I said this the last time we talked. They can't get any bigger. Marvel's already big. I think I said this during She-Hulk. Marvel's big already. That's why I think Kevin Feige's gone. Because it's like, you look at everything, he's been successful. Why would he not want to take that success and try to climb another mountain? He's already climbed this mountain. He's already proven, I've taken an experimental film in Iron Man and turned it into turned it into the biggest cinematic universe that we've never seen anything like this before anyway.
Right. Okay, so I'm going to go into...
So the power of bringing Denzel in is very possible.
Oh, yeah. So, J. Wolf said, essentially, Xavier and Magneto are depictions of Martin and Malcolm. It could work.
Originally, now that is a misnomer. And the reason I say that's a misnomer is because originally when they were written, Stan Lee and Jack Kirby weren't looking at Denzel weren't looking at Malcolm X. No. It wasn't until the 90s series, the cartoon, where we started to see some of those semblances between Malcolm that even the writers were even saying, hey, you know what? That's a damn good idea. And they really are.
Now, I mean, I'm kind of, me personally anyway, I'm kind of torn on because you know, Martin's, a lot of his old writings and old speeches, he was like this with Malcolm. They were very on par with how it was, right? It wasn't towards the end where he began to become what is more commonly known, right? But I think that could play into Xavier too, being young Xavier being more radicalized for, you know, mutant progression things. I mean, there's a lot of stuff they can do, and it is an interesting parallel. I would need to see how they play it out. You know, that's my only thing.
Definitely have to know how that.
It's a bad idea. I think, especially for today's time, it would be an awesome thing to see on screen and awesome to see how they handle it. And then we have Oscar's fan here who says, "All love from Texas. The content just keeps getting better and better. Keep it up."
Thank you, Texas. My daddy's from Texas.
We appreciate seeing that. We got
from
London
Texas.
in here. We got Texas in here.
We appreciate it, Texas.
And then Mano215 said, but a character like Magneto would have to play in several movies. Would you agree?
No, I
With his
completely
age,
agree.
I can't see him doing that many, which follows up.
It goes back to what Q said. I
Raymond
agree.
says, I don't know if you or how you can reboot this. I mean, how do you do this again differently or even better? I believe that after Secret Wars, Kevin Feige goes to DC.
I don't think he goes to DC.
Someone else will take over Marvel, who I don't know. See, as far as the rebooting goes,
there's plenty of ways. But how many times has Marvel Comics rebooted though? All new,
That's
all
what
different
I was about
Marvel.
to say. The way you reboot is because there's so many fucking stories
There's so
that we
many
have
stories.
not even touched in this.
That could be told in a different way. It could be told in a different universe.
You literally reboot with the same characters. Make sure you. The one thing that Marvel's done right is casted throughout the whole, whether it's from Iron Man 1 till now, their castings have always... There maybe have been a couple that have been recast or that we haven't liked, maybe a couple, but for the most part, they always cast right.
Well, and also go look at Avengers lineups, right? That's my big thing. So if they did a big reboot, right, where everything... And imagine they do this big blowout movie, it's going to be a huge in-game level deal, and then the MCU, it's like the universe goes away, you know? And then
it's happened in the comics.
And then 2 or 3 years they wait, and they don't do fucking shit. And then they just release a trailer. It's like the tear of the universe beginning.
But see, people have to remember too.
You go in, instead of leading, because we saw this, we came in from Iron Man's perspective, right? Instead, you begin with an Xavier, or the X-Men's perspective, or any rights that they get back. Now they can do way more Hulk, right? Now they can do, and then you'll see an Avengers lineup that involves the Silver Surfer, that involves Logan, that involves all the. You'll really see. This is a whole different telling of the MCU story. Because look at even Secret Wars. There's not just one telling of that story. There's multiple tellings involving entirely different people with entirely different circumstances going on. You can argue one is better than the other. I have my personal favorites.
Hickman's is better.
Yeah. But that doesn't mean they can't do it differently. I mean, they can completely reboot it, and I think for younger people, it'll blow people away.
And like I said, that's why I even mentioned the Time Runs Out storyline. Like, is Time Runs Out? I think it should be, but is it going to be adapted into this? I think it should be because it's integral to Secret Wars and everything like that. But just not only that, but you have to think this is Hollywood, Holly business, Holly money. They need anything to keep the rich. Yep. They're going to do.
Right.
And if superheroes, until the world, the audience gets sick of superheroes to the point to where they're not making money, to where it's a Morbius film where the seats are empty and no one's watching,
Because I hear people trying to say that online and chat stuff like, oh, I'm getting tired of these superhero movies, but the asses are still in the seats, and that tells a different story.
Yeah. So I do believe a reboot is coming, and I do not believe Kevin Feige goes to DC. The reason I don't believe Kevin Feige goes to DC, they have their Kevin Feige. They've already announced that. I forget brother's name, but they've already announced that.
I know it.
That was announced earlier this week.
Yep.
It was announced earlier this week. I think Kevin Feige climbs his Star Wars mountain. And the reason I say that is because Kevin Feige has already said plenty of times his first love is Star Wars. He just never got to get into Star Wars. Right. He adores Star Wars much more than he even adores Marvel. I would love for Papa Feige to get his hands on Star Wars, especially with the current state of Star Wars. But that we have a topic coming up with Ryan Johnson, so I'm gonna flip on that one. But no, I could definitely see the reboot. I could definitely see Denzel. I have no problem with seeing Denzel as Magneto. But moving on from Denzel, the last name there is John Boyega. And people have been saying, well, there was an interview that Daisy Ridley did where she hinted that he has been in talks with Marvel for a role. And not only that, Grace Randolph, credible insider Grace Randolph. I know a lot of people have their issues with Grace. I do too sometimes. But Grace is right a lot of the times too. She said that a Star Wars star, someone that starred in Star Wars, was in the mix of in talks with Marvel for a important role. Could we be seeing, a lot of people are predicting that it's Reed. Could we see him as Reed or Johnny? Or some people have even said Blue Marvel. And some people have even said Denzel coming in as Blue Marvel. I know Raymond said he doesn't want to see Denzel as a Blue Marvel, but I'm gonna be honest with you, I could see him as a Blue Marvel.
Yeah, I could too.
I could see him as a Blue Marvel. I could see him as a Blue Marvel because, I was looking at the box of the Marvel Legends that I picked up the other day, and he looks like him.
Yeah,
he could be a Blue Marvel. I could see him but I could see Boyega as a Blue Marvel too. And I don't know how you do Boyega as a no, I see it. Yes, I do. That'd be stupid. Yes, he could still have him as Johnny. If he was still Johnny, because the storyline, they just wouldn't be biological siblings. He could be adopted, or he could be from his mom might have remarried, dad might have remarried, or anything like that. They just might not be biological siblings, but siblings nonetheless. Me and my brother are not biological siblings, but that is my nigga. That's my brother. I love my brother. Like so no, I definitely see that could be, that could be something, as him as Johnny Storm, or him as Reed, or him as whatever.
But no, I just want to again take a minute here to shout out everyone. There's quite a few people watching us now. Everybody in the chat, we appreciate all your comments. We appreciate the donations we've gotten on Streamlabs. We appreciate y'all helping us get to the goal of 1,000 subs. It means a lot, you guys.
Yeah, no, we really appreciate it so much. So those are our predictions. Some of the things that we've been seeing in rumors, at least, that are going to be going on with D23. Again, we will be live for D23, so mark your calendars for D23. We are going to be here at 12 p.m. noon Central Standard Time. D23 Marvel will be taking the stage, and I think Marvel will be sharing the stage.